Damon Gray from Owner's Pride Car Care. Welcome to Nick at Night.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else on a Sunday night right now than be with you.
This is must-see TV. Back when there was appointment viewing and TV news, I remember the days I used to be in broadcast journalism. I feel like Sunday night was a good time, and so we're prime time right now. And
Exactly.
I'm so excited to have you here. You're the founder of Owner's Pride Car Care. You're a veteran. You've owned a shop. But before we go into a lot of your background, I guess maybe the answer to the question is what you're about to give me is why would a detailer out there or a car enthusiast listen to what you have to say?
Yeah, right. Okay, I'll give you the canned answer that I give all of our installers. I have been in the industry for 3 decades, and it doesn't mean that I have 30 years of answers, Nick. I have made 30 years of mistakes. And if I can help somebody not make the same mistakes that I did and they can reach their goal quicker, I'm more than happy to share them because I have no ego left. I've been married 34 years. My wife has stripped my ego away, Nick. So yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, it doesn't mean, like I said, I don't have all the answers, but I've made a lot of mistakes and I've made some good decisions here and there, and I made some bad ones, but
What's your biggest mistake?
oh wow. Not getting out, not getting out of my own way is my biggest mistake. And had I started doing that a lot earlier, I probably would have been in South Carolina a lot quicker. To be very truthful with you, and I do think for most entrepreneurs, that is the biggest mistake that we make, not getting out of our own way.
Well, because your story could be aspirational. Because you owned a shop, now you founded the Owner's Pride Car Care, and now
Mhm.
you're not even running the shop, and you're out of state of Omaha. You're in South Carolina to be closer to your grandkids. Maybe tell us a little bit about the journey, because if folks could be where you are, I think they'd feel like they are winning. A lot of detailers end up cleaning cars and doing all the working in the business instead of on the business. You've
Mhm.
actually done the thing. So I kind of want to learn what lessons you have from your
Uh,
journey.
I my journey starts from pretty much from the time I was 12, really. A lot of people will talk about how they wash cars with their dads and so forth and so on. And I remember one time doing that, but my father passed when I was 12. So he died in the middle of the night from a brain aneurysm, and that changed everything in my life because I went from being literally in this small house in rural Iowa, rural Route 1, Dunlap, Iowa, a town of less than 1,000 people at that time, maybe a little bit more if you count pets. But we went from this small 800 square foot home to moving into town. And from there, I had to start paying for, helping to pay the electrical bill. I was a latchkey kid of the 80s. And I wanted out of Iowa so bad that I signed up for the Coast Guard when I was 17. In fact, I had to have my mom come in and sign for me.
Really?
And and I hadn't even graduated 24 hours, and I was on a plane for the first time in my life, heading to a boot camp, heading to the ocean, which I'd never seen
You
before.
had never been on a plane at age 17.
Not or 18. Yeah. No, I had
Wow.
not been on a plane before. I had never seen the ocean. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I just knew I was out. And I really did kind of embrace life as an adventure. I ended up being on a Coast Guard cutter in Boston, and I sailed from Halifax, Nova Scotia, all the way to Caracas, Venezuela. I met some incredible people. I worked with some incredible people from all walks of life. And in fact, some of those are still my brothers today.
Well, thank you for your service. And again,
Oh,
thanks for being on the podcast. And I want to say what's up to everybody. Chris M says, we live or is this recorded? Chris M, this is live. This is Nick at Night live, baby. So we're just so happy to be here. I appreciate everybody I'm seeing in the comments saying hello. We have CS Auto Tech and Detailing saying, hey, Shane. We got Lazy Jones. Shane's getting used to a new logo. Celtic Interior Shine. Paul says, what's up,
nice.
everyone? So we say, what's up to all of you. Damon, there's detailers out there who may have heard of Owner's Pride
Mhm.
and they may never have tried it. So what do you want to tell them?
Yeah, I think the unique thing about Owner's Pride is it's designed by detailers for detailers. And after getting out of the Coast Guard, I came back to the Midwest. I started doing paint touch-up, minor body work. And I did that for 2 decades, knowing that eventually I couldn't keep up at that pace and my body wasn't gonna be able to do that. We all had that kind of realization of our own mortality. And I decided that it was time to start putting together an idea of what I was doing out there on the car lots and bringing that to retail. And my son and I, Logan, started a detail shop. We called it Owner's Pride. My wife actually came up with the name. And we wanted to build a detail shop that we would want to take our vehicles to. And so starting that detail shop in 2016, 2015 and 2016, I was in between. I was actually running three businesses at that time. And we had the opportunity to start developing a chemical line. And so,
So you had started your detail shop, and then the opportunity comes up to start the chemical line. Because I
mhm.
think this is an aspirational journey. There's a lot of detailers out there who they love detailing, they want to get out of detailing, they want to start a product line. So let's hear how you did it, right? And that's why I'm asking these questions, not to get in the weeds, but to like,
No,
there's people out there who want to do this. So how do you get an opportunity to start a chemical line?
it's putting yourself out there and not working necessarily always in the business, but on the business and networking. And that means you got to get away from just staring at the paint from 2 feet away.
Yep.
You have to go out, you have to meet people. You can't just stay there. You got to go out. And an opportunity came out or it came up and we took it. And the whole idea was to create a line of products. And this was my son's mentality and the whole thing that each one of these products should act like an employee, right? They should have a specific job to do, but work well with the other products in order to accomplish a goal. And so that's what we set out to create products that were efficient. And that's why we always say designed by detailers for detailers.
And made in
And
the
that's
USA, right?
and made in the USA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was an installer early with Owner's Pride, and I saw you had a whole grip of folks from Optimum coming over. You had Dan Williams, and just it felt
hmm
like there was this big movement of momentum at the time.
hmm
But you started Owner's Pride during a pandemic. You're also running a shop. Um, what were some of the biggest difficulties? You also had Bottlegate. Can we talk about Bottlegate? Because again, I want to say,
So
what can we learn
where
from
do
all the hard
you want to go
times?
from? Yeah, do you want to go with the time frame of? Let's just start with the time frame. We
Okay.
start off. We developed some of the products. We have a like 3 or 4 products that we're ready to go out with, right? And so we launched February of 2020,
Oh my
having
gosh.
having no idea that the country is going to be shut down. Now, doing that, I also have a detail shop that I'm running in Omaha at the same time. Now, from the very beginning, the idea was to always work myself out of a position.
That was your goal. Like
So
you didn't have a
that w-
goal of okay,
that was my goal. So I
okay.
at that point I'd already started working myself out of the back of the shop, moving myself to the front of the shop, right? And then the goal is to move out of the shop. So up in the front of the shop, being the face of our business there, and then also working on the product line. And then in March, that's when it really hit. And we didn't know what was going to happen at all. So I got a local business and I got a national business trying to navigate everything as far as sourcing out triggers, sourcing bottles out. And every trigger, every bottle, anything that was plastic was being used to put hand sanitizer in. I mean,
Oh yeah.
right. And even like rubber gloves was hard to get a hold of.
I
I
remember
mean,
nitrile gloves got so expensive during COVID.
you think that's crazy? Think about this, like triggers that we use in our bottles right now. We were looking on eBay. So at this point, triggers were so rare. We're looking everywhere. We look on eBay, we find these triggers are going for like anywhere from $6 to $20 a piece. It was
A
insane.
trigger?
A trigger. I'm like, how do you make money off of that? You don't.
Wow. Wow.
And so it was constantly looking. And if you look through like 20 and 21, we were putting triggers on bottles that were the triggers were like red and white, green and white, white, yellow and white. We were even using the high solvent chemically resistant triggers, the black and gold ones. I mean, it whatever we could get our hands on, we were doing it, and so there was that. And meanwhile, how do you recruit people? How do you sell your product to detailers who are all going through the exact same thing that your shop is going through? And what we found ourselves doing is just doing a lot of cold calling. And we were doing cold calling in a boardroom. And Dan, myself, and the other guys in OP, we're calling across the nation. And basically what we're doing is listening to them. And then also saying, hey, we know that this is what this person has been able to do. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? and we found literally what we were doing is just becoming a more of a support system, and realizing that's actually part of our brand is to see people succeed, because if our customers don't succeed, the brand doesn't succeed.
What is it? Okay, so you have Bottlegate. What was that all about? People thought you were relabeling just technician's choice at the
Yep,
beginning. What happened?
absolutely. No, I get it. Okay, but when you first start off, try and put out your own product line, and especially during a pandemic, you don't get to choose what bottle you get to put your product in. You get told what bottle your products get put into. And the other thing, and this is partly my fault, when designing the ceramic coatings, what I wanted to make sure is the one thing that I was always scared of as an installer was the very last step, right? Applying the coating. Because if that goes wrong, you're back to step one. And you can always buy more product. You can't buy more time. And so we want to make sure that whatever we apply is something that is simple. And I wanted it so that if you were applying the coating and your customer walked through the door, you could go take care of business. Your phone rang, you could go ahead and take that call. You wouldn't be penalized because you were busy and had to block off like an hour and a half to go ahead and coat a vehicle and not run your business. So the product itself is very easy to apply.
I
The
remember that because I was an installer. It was an incredibly easy product to install.
Right. So then it was also in a 2-ounce bottle when I really wanted it in a 1-ounce bottle. So when you have a product that's
Oh.
very easy to go ahead and apply, and you can say, hey, you can maybe at max get 2 cars out of this, but it's an easy product to apply. We did have people who are applying 2 ounces to 4 vehicles. And so it went on very thin in some areas. So I mean, there's a lot of things that happened because of that, and we called it Bottlegate. I mean, not that we weren't taking it serious, but you have to name it something, right?
Yeah.
Because it has to be something that you can put up there on the board so everybody knows what you're doing and how you're rectifying this. But honestly, that was a lot of it. I had no right, especially in the beginning, to tell them, hey, you need to change up your entire assembly line for me because I want a 1-ounce bottle.
So did y'all have to reinvent yourself? Like, was that a pretty big, I would say, like struggle for the business, or what were some of the other hard things early on?
Oh, there's always that, and there's always just being the new guy too,
Yeah.
and so there's always the newness factor and everything else. But it was a reinventing process. We were able to go ahead and prove in concept because we were actually having our products were going out with an FTC compliant warranty, you know? And so we wanted to highlight that with the product. And so we looked at it, we relabeled and went down to a 1-ounce bottle. We had finally had proof in concept that we were actually, hey, this is a product that works. It works great. In Omaha, we were actually selling more ceramic coatings than the dealerships were.
Jamie the cleaner
And
says shout out to being the new guy. The House of Rags here as the new company on the block. But so you were selling more coatings than the dealership,
oh yeah,
but your local shop or
yeah, the local shop there in Omaha still does and averages over 30 to 40 coatings a month.
wow, and you got out of that shop, but you still are kind of the one of the. I mean, do you own the shop in Omaha?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, you own the shop in Omaha, and you were able to move to get closer to family, your kids,
Yeah, so
grandkids.
so
Was
the
that
the
something?
concept was, hey,
Wow.
I want to be that guy who went from the back of the shop to the front of the shop to out of the shop, and to prove the concept. I've been out here away from the shop. It'll be a year in April.
And it actually is working out.
Oh, they're doing better, and that's great, because if the business all hangs on my shoulders, then it's not going to grow. And we were talking, you and I were about talking about entrepreneurship before this, right? And how our biggest mistake is always being in our own way. Um, and the other biggest mistake, not surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you. And I
Mm.
have no problem with that. I look for people who are smarter than me, that are better than certain things than I am, and that's what we target. And we have amazing people in the front. We have 3 people up front. Bob is one of the partners there too. Bob's an awesome guy. In fact, he was one of my first coding customers.
Oh, there you go.
When the shop first opened. And then we have Sarah. Sarah just great at sales. And then Davis actually runs the day-to-day stuff, and Davis does a phenomenal job there. And then we have the guys in the back who they're I have one employee there. It's been there for Tanner's been there nearly 7 years.
So, I mean, I know it's so complicated, but do you have to go to get an MBA somewhere to figure out how to run a successful detail shop so that you don't even have to be there anymore? Like, what are the secrets?
Again, the secret is work yourself out of the position and get your ego out of the way.
How do we do
And
that?
I easy. And I say easy. It wasn't that easy figuring this out. But the thing is, how do you put yourself back there when you're not there? And what puts me in that shop when I'm not there is our checklists, our SOPs, and the culture that we created back there. I want a culture back there that's a team mentality. I want a culture back there where these guys work together and work well together. And we really push that. Um, but that's how I mean that the checklist itself is me. It's all those things that I missed in the very beginning, saying, okay, this is what you're not going to miss. This is what we're going to check off and make sure you did. And when you're done checking this off, you're going to sign at the bottom and you're going to date it and you're going to time it.
Is that something you
And
recommend early on in the business, or do you wait till you fully figured it
100%.
out? Okay.
I wish I would have. Yeah, these are the things
But I'll
that
bet you
had I gone to
solo
school,
I'll bet you solo guys could also benefit from a checklist. Like make yourself
100%.
accountable to do it like this first so that when you teach it to someone else,
Hmm.
you've done it. Is that what you'd recommend to a solo guy?
Yeah, 100%. Don't. Here's the other thing. If you don't prepare for growth, when growth does happen, you're not going to be ready for it, and it's going to just squash you. You're going to be overcome, and just not have an opportunity to take advantage of that time and seize the moment. So you
Apparently,
prepare for it.
apparently we have a celebrity in our midst, Joel from Details. So what's up, Joel and Jamie the Cleaner and Big O and Umberto and all the folks in the chat. We appreciate you. If you have any questions for Damon, love to hear it. So
Yeah.
so you're able to like work these SOPs. How do you prioritize what to put more time or effort into? The shop in Omaha or Owner's Pride Ceramic Coatings, car care?
Oh no, like right now, I would say at least 85, 90, well, more so 90% of my time is definitely with like what we call OPC, Owner's Pride Care. The shop is always referred to as OPO, Owner's Pride Omaha. And that's how I'm able to separate the two. But no, a lot of my priorities today is all about OPC. It's about our Owner's Pride partners, our installers, and it's like having these conversations that you and I are having one on one with them. I have no problem taking time out of my day to talk to an installer. And maybe it's their first 1-star review. I remember my first 1-star review, nobody was there to help me respond. Now, thank God I was fairly lucid at the time. And when I say lucid, because of my neck injury and everything else, that I responded in such a way that I look back and I'm like, damn, that was good. And it was good. And then I realized
So
why
tell
it
me
was
how to
good.
respond to a first 1-star review.
Yeah. Okay. So first you acknowledge the problem. You don't dodge it. You acknowledge the problem. You acknowledge the customer. You also state in your response when this all took place, and then you let them know, hey, at any point, anytime, we would really like to go ahead and help you resolve this issue. Just simply reach out to us. Let's schedule an appointment and let's get this taken care of. And then you step back. And then, of course, they're going to respond. Let them respond. Because here's the other thing that I didn't realize at the time. In a world where everything is so fake and phony and people are able to buy reviews, right?
Mm,
That when you have that 1-star review, that makes you look real and relatable. And people don't look at that 1 star to see where you screwed up and how you failed. What they're doing is they're looking at that 1 star to see how you take care of those things that aren't necessarily a great moment in your business. Because they want to know how are you going to take care of them as a customer if things
yes.
don't go right.
Yes. So that's actually a really interesting thing because if you handle that well, I always felt like if you handled a difficult customer well, you could actually win them over for life. I still feel that way. And I say difficult like it's a difficult situation because they're not happy and that makes it difficult because I don't want anyone who's a customer of
You,
mine not be
you,
happy. So
right.
I take it personally sometimes. I want to make it right. And especially when it's just you. I found that we started getting less than 5-star reviews once it turned into me and my business partner Greg at the time. Funny
Mhm.
story about us. We went to do a interview with Damon for Hawk Pro Detailing. And I'm asking you
Oh
like
my
60
God.
minutes, like hard hitting questions. We have the
Dude, it
dramatic
was not
lighting.
60. I swear to God, we were there for like an hour and a half.
No, but I mean like the 60 minutes news program, but like we were there for a
Oh, okay.
long time. But I just mean like hard hitting questions, like and you were kind of like new to interviewing, and it was a kind of an awkward. And then Greg, the camera guy, who's also my business partner, at Hawk Pro, he had these visions of our YouTube channel going sky high, but he lost all the all the SD cards, and you were not happy about that.
Well,
So it happens to everybody.
well, no, we do this interview after a training there in Salt Lake City with Jamie Gonzalez,
Yep, yep,
there in his business, right? And
yep.
then I can't remember which hotel it was. It is like one of the most haunted hotels in America that I'm staying at. And
Okay.
that thing lived up to its freaking reputation. I mean,
What
I
were you
wasn't,
doing
s-
there?
I was trying to sleep.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all I wanted to do. And I couldn't get that done. I mean, I had everything from the closet door opened. And when I mean opened, you heard the mechanism click and you hear that.
So it actually was haunted.
Oh, hell yeah. The sheets moved on my bed.
What?
I slept. I'm not kidding you. Both nights I slept with the lights on in my room
So you were not well rested in our first interview.
at all. So when you told me you lost those SD cards, I'm like, what the hell, man?
Maybe it was for the better. Maybe it was for the better.
It probably was.
So around that time, I really liked Owner's Pride. I'm trying to think. I think it was Greg who convinced me to like leave Owner's Pride and like I don't know. I think we used Scott from Dallas Paint Correction or something. His coatings after that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Greg and I got our it's been well documented. I had a business partner and we had our split up and I wish him all the best. But I
Yeah.
do. I mean, I always thought really highly of Owner's Pride. I really loved your ceramic detailer, and
Mhm.
oh man, that's so amazing. Is it still amazing? I haven't used it in a long time.
No, it's an awesome product. It really is. It's great as a water-based SiO2, the longevity to it, the ease of application, the fact you can apply it wet or dry,
Yeah.
but it's still a great product. It's one of our biggest sellers.
Well, and I think it's. I mean, I will say a little expensive, but
Yeah,
worth every
the
trigger pull.
well, and the once you start looking at some of the ingredients in it, and you start looking at the carbon or not, it's not carbon nanotubes, but detonated nanodiamonds that's actually within the product. I mean, that's what makes it so pricey.
Well, yeah. I mean, we loved it. We loved the pink sauce. Chris M. And again, this is an aspirational question, right? Like in terms of putting a product line. But how did you determine you were ready to move from detailing to starting a product line?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're ever really figuring it out when that step is. I think what it is it's that passion that you have, right? But then you got to realize that that passion you have to accomplish this, it's going to take more than you. So you need to get the people around you to help you with it, right? And I could never have put this product line together if I didn't have like my son with me. And Logan is actually no longer in OPC.
Right.
He's not even detailing anymore or anything like that. He does data analytics.
Cool.
So that's his thing. And he loves it. He's doing great, but having somebody like himself, people who are definitely a lot more savvy when it came to tech, and also getting their input. I couldn't just go with my instincts and my own input. I needed other people's input. And whether it was good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, I needed to listen to it. And, had I not been, the age that I was at that time in my 40s, then I really don't think I would have listened as well to other people as I did then.
Really?
Yeah, I do. In my if it was my 20s, I'd be like, nah, I can do this. I can handle it all myself, you know.
That's like
And again,
suicide. Yeah.
well, it's suicide, but when you're in your 20s, I mean, you can do anything, right? I
I
mean,
felt
you
like
can
that into my
accomplish whatever
early
you want.
30s. Yeah, like into my early mid 30s, I was still doing
Hmm.
the not really sleeping, two jobs, maybe 3 hours of sleep, go mobile detail, then go to the main job, and you're just like,
Yeah,
maybe I
you
can
were
do this
doing.
forever. But like, if it's just you, what's the end game, right? So I think you're the example that I think a lot of people would love to follow. I guess in that vein, when it comes to your neck surgery, I think we all learn from major challenges. Can you talk about what
Mhm.
recently happened with your neck surgery? Because it sounds like you were absolutely miserable and all this could have just exploded, shattered, whatever, kind of disappeared for you. All that you'd worked for.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it. I had spinal stenosis to the point where I had very little spinal fluid moving down, between three vertebrae. In fact, it was building up pressure on my brainstem to the point where I could no longer hold on to six-digit passcodes. I had to have Davis literally became my personal assistant about 2 months prior to the surgery
So you're
because it
not you're
was
not able to do you're not able to remember six numbers.
no, I would have to write it down and then I would like get to the third letter and I'm like or number and I'm like I have to look back at the screen and finish it out. We would
Wow.
have if I was like having a conversation like this with you, I'd have to say, "Excuse me, what were we talking about?" You know,
Wow.
I was
And
losing my
this is
eyesight.
how long ago was
Yeah,
this?
that was in beginning of 23. The surgery was in March, mid-March of 23, March 22nd.
So very recent. So you're losing your eyesight. You can barely remember things. What's the pain? Where's the pain at?
The pain because of where it was in my vertebrae. I've actually got six screws in my neck, two discs replaced, and a very large plate. But the nerve along my left arm was just constantly on fire. Literally felt like I was holding on to an electric fence, and my arm was on fire. Muscle atrophy in my tricep. I couldn't do a push up. I couldn't push anybody away, or I couldn't do anything with my left arm really. Half my forearm didn't work. Left pec was pretty much just gone. And again, between physically not being able to do much, mentally not being able to do much, it was a pretty horrendous moment. It really was. I mean, it was actually a long moment. I mean, this pain and suffering went on. Oh man, it went on from like oh shoot, like October into March. And I didn't realize how bad it was. It just progressively got worse and worse and worse until I finally got to that point where, yeah, this ain't good.
So you're succeeding in business, but you're physically in a lot of pain. So what happens next?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate. I got a really good team of doctors. They went in. I had a bone spur that's pretty much the size of like almost like a tooth, and it was really close to just sawing through the spinal cord. Um, the doctor himself said, typically people like yourself, who at that time, I was like 50, and he goes, "You're an active 50-year-old guy." He goes, "How many of those hold your beer moments have you had?" And I'm like, I couldn't count them. Not because I couldn't remember them, but I knew I couldn't count them because there've been so many. He goes, "You've had that slip, you've had that fall, and you've become a paraplegic." And that's exactly what could have happened, what should have happened before I ever got there.
So then what?
So I had the surgery, and when I come to, I mean, I'm fully lucid. I've never had surgery before in my life, and this ended up being like I think it was like a 7 hour surgery, almost 8 hour surgery by the time they got done. And when I had talked to the doctors, um, at no point did we ever talk about drainage tubes coming out of my neck or anything like this, and for me, my biggest scare was waking up and trying to move my head or something, before the surgery. That's the one thing you're afraid of, right? And then you don't remember anything, and then all of a sudden you're awake. And I'm awake, and I go like this, I can feel these tubes, the nurse is walking by, and I go, "Excuse me." I said, I'm awake. I go, "Can I please see my doctor?" And she just kind of looked at me and she's like, "Mm-hmm." I'm like, "No, I am completely lucid. I would like to see the doctor. I would like to see him now because we never discussed drain tubes coming out of my neck." And I go, "I'd really like that damn brace around my neck too before I move." And that's when she realized that I was extremely lucid. And the doctor came in, and then he began to discuss to me and tell me about the bone spurs that were around there and what the shape they
Hmm.
were around my disc, my neck, how they had to clean that out, how I bled like a stuck pig, and that's why the
Jeez.
drain tubes were there. And the amazing thing was, I could push him away with my left arm. So this was starting to come back a little bit. Not that I was like physically pushing, but I could actually feel the force of pushing his hand away, which before I didn't.
So you recover.
Yeah. I have a neck brace on for 14 weeks.
I remember you had the what? Eddie's saying what's up, just to bring a smile
Hey,
to
Eddie.
everyone's face. It's always nice to smoke a cigar with Damon Gray. My fondest memory was smoking cigars back to back with Damon. When did this happen?
Oh, man, I cannot. See, that's the other thing. My memory isn't as good as it used to be either. And so
Oh,
there's certain things that I don't remember. Now,
wow.
spending time with Eddie is always fun.
Yeah,
I mean, Eddie's just one of those really jovial guys, and when you're around Eddie, it's hard not to have a good time. And I do like to smoke a cigar. I mean, and what I like about smoking a cigar, you have that an hour and a half window. You know you have committed your life to,
is that how long
and
it takes
you're
to smoke a cigar? An hour and a half?
it depends.
Yeah,
It depends on the size of the stick, you
yeah.
know. But typically, I don't smoke Robustos. I like a larger gauge. But I like to like take a good hour and a half to smoke a cigar. And when you
That
do that with somebody, you talk, you converse, just like me and you right now, right?
yeah.
But you take that time to talk to each other, um, and reflect. It's to me, it's relaxing.
I've smoked a cigar with Eddie. I've enjoyed it thoroughly, and I do want to ask a great question from John Weber because it was a very specific one. To get Best
Oh,
of Omaha 8 times, how did that come about? That was your detail shop.
yes. Yeah,
How'd it come
in
about?
fact, I was told not to even try. Don't even
Why?
try.
Why?
Because Omaha is a great town to work in. It really is. Our customer base there is phenomenal. The community loves to support small businesses. But at that time, when you're first starting out, you have a lot bigger detail shops that are out there who have a bigger name than you do. And they said, don't even try. And so I did. And when I mean I tried, I put our stuff out there on Facebook. I messaged friends, family, hey, would you please vote for us? I mean, I did. I shook hands and kissed babies, is what I did. To the point where I got the call and they told me that we got Best of Omaha. That's when I'm like, and I remember I was leaving the shop. I am dead tired, right?
Are you
You know how
still
it is.
working on
I'm
cars at this point?
still I'm still working in the back of the shop. I'm pushing the brand. I'm doing all this.
Yeah.
And I get the call and they're like, "Hey, we just want to let you know that you are a Best of Omaha winner." And I'm like, "Listen." I go, "You want to call and prank somebody? Call and prank so and so, blah 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 blah. I don't have time for this shit." And they're like, "Excuse me?" I said, "Are you serious?" Like, "Yeah." I go, "We did win? We're a winner?" They're like, "Yeah." Like, I'll be damned. I can tell you where I was. I was on Millard Avenue. It was like 138th Street.
Did that
Uh,
change things for your business to be Best of Omaha, or did it just give you a sense that we're on the right track?
it gave me a sense that we're on the right track.
Okay.
But what it does, when you have those accomplishments like that, it's something that you're able to build on. And so I'm like, we're not going to be a one and done. Let's do it again. And then let's do it again. And let's do it again.
Um, as Puerto Rico, first from Puerto Rico says, Umberto, I was impressed with Eco Wash from Owner's Pride. I always liked Eco Wash. That was one of the products that I
Mhm.
definitely stuck with when I had my shop. I just wonder. I'm like, what happened to Owner's Pride? Like, I feel like you came out the cannon with a big bang with all these different faces from a different brand. They came on and everyone was excited about it. And I feel like I don't know who's talking about it. I know you're a professional in the coding, and I kind of live in the enthusiast DIY space.
Mhm.
But what happened since then?
Honestly, I look back and to answer that question, that's a great question. I would have to say it was probably during my neck surgery, and prior to that, I definitely was not pushing the brand full steam in probably the third and fourth quarter of 22. And then in Q1 and Q2 of 23, I'm trying to heal up.
Yeah,
And then once we got into the first quarter of 24, and you and I had this very candid conversation. I told you, I said, for us, for my wife and I, we've been married 34 years. We wanted to get back to the East Coast. We enjoyed it. We always knew we wanted to be coastal. I was, in the Coast Guard. She was out here with me when I was here
hmm.
on the East Coast from 90 to 94. And all three of our kids are grown. They're doing great. They're self-sufficient. And we bumped it up probably about 4 or 5 years of when we planned on moving out here. And then when you look at, Q2, 3, and 4 of 24, we moved all of our warehouse from Omaha to Chicago. And moving your product to a warehouse,
A 3PL kind of.
yeah, it becomes it's a lot more intricate than you had ever planned. And I'm glad we're finally past that. So that has made a huge difference. And it's going to make a huge difference for the business too, as
Y'all
far as
make
getting the product
fantastic
out.
products, right? But it's about telling people about it, so that the customers have to know you exist. They have to be
100%.
seeing you on social media. But I always thought your service protection products were excellent. I never thought that was ever the issue.
If they sucked, trust me, there wouldn't be best Omaha 8 years in a row, and we would have been eaten up alive. I mean, we have over 250 some Google reviews for that shop, over 300 and some on Facebook.
Yep,
That shop alone, that shop's Facebook page, over 10,000 likes, over 10,000 followers. It's organic.
just from y'all delivering for customers. Uh,
Yeah.
Bill Dalton saying owner's pride, direct selling model only.
Right now, I mean, for when it comes, when you look at our warranty coatings, our professional grade coatings, yeah, we're selling those directly. We do have retail coatings that we did come out with. So we have the OP Pro. We also have a retail coating that is a self-healing coating. It is designed, developed to be a self-healing coating, our OPX Light. So that is a retail coating.
And that's available to anybody. OPX Lite.
100%, yeah.
I mean, if y'all deliver it, I'll bet you it's great. So, what if someone's never tried owner's pride before? They might be a pro, they might be an enthusiast. Where should they start? Like, give me the gateway drug of OP.
Yeah, okay, so you brought up Eco Wash. Eco Wash is a rinseless wash that is way over-engineered. We way over-engineered
Way
it.
over engineered. 512 to one, or what is it? What five?
Yeah, yeah. You're looking at basically 1 ounce to 4 gallons is what you're looking at, which is unheard of. It was unheard of at the time. Now it's like, oh, well, okay, that could be possible.
Yep.
But it's literally a rinseless that can be used through a foam cannon because it will foam. The emulsifiers are when they're agitated by air, they'll foam. The great thing about that, in that form, it doesn't get dragged down by gravity as quickly. So it stays on the surface and works for you. The other great thing is how you can use it on the interior. For our detail shop, that product alone gets used on the interior. That's the first line of defense for taking out stains or anything else. It's also
So
pH
that
balance.
so OP is part of your SOP. OP Eco
Yeah,
Wash is part of your guys' SOP for interiors.
yep, it's the first one. And here's the other thing. When we designed these products, the idea was professional grade products that does not get a customer into a professional problem.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it means that it's very hard to screw up, right? That's like
Yes.
with Eco Wash, we tell you to go ahead and use as an interior product, right? It's pH balance, you're good to go. When you look at,
Speaking of, I'm going to
our
show you in action. I
All-purpose
want to see
interior
this
cleaner.
sexy
Works
man doing his
fantastic when
car
it
things.
comes to
Here, I got the volume off. You keep telling me about Eco Wash.
well, you could have got that one video that made you look so fat, but that's
All right,
okay.
okay, all right. Here we go. This guy's a stud.
SO2
Now
and
look at him.
ceramic
Look at this guy.
detailing. We're
Look
looking
way
at
better.
12 months of
Way better. I
protection.
look a lot better when I
The other
stand
great
up. I
thing
don't look so
about Spray
squatty.
Detailer,
Yeah, it's
spray
weird
it
to
on
sit
here,
down
clean the
sometimes. But
surfaces,
no, Eco Wash is banging.
wheels,
I
It,
never
it,
used
it's
it. I used it 1 ounce to 2 gallons. I'm like, surely this
spray
can't be that economical, but it
and
was,
wipe.
right?
it gets used in our house all the time. What's awesome about it too is like, say for your vacuum filters for your vacuum in your home, you
Yeah.
pull the filters out, you put it into Equal Wash solution, walk away, give it an hour or two, and then come back, and you'll see how it's pulled the dirt and the debris away from that. I've seen guys who have the gold sponges. They put
Yep.
it in a bucket of Eco Wash. They come back the next day. The gold sponge is gold again. It's not a dirty brown.
All right,
So it.
we got pressing questions here, Damon. I'm interrupting you, but
Oh, okay.
DRK Dragon 525 says, "What ratio for foaming?" Now I want to try that.
And it's gonna, the thing with when it comes to foaming and foam cannons too, not all foam cans are created equal. Um, you really don't have to go too much past that to be able to get it with certain foam cannons with that ratio. You might have to boost it up a little bit. The great thing about Eco Wash is if you got too much product and not enough water, if you see a light milky haze, and that's because the polymers are just stacking on top of each other. Add some more water, you're good to go. But we use it like even an IK sprayer for interiors or in Omaha because of the conditions of the roads. Sodium chloride, magnesium chloride. Some counties in Nebraska use beet juice to remove snow or an ice.
Yeah.
And we'll actually use it to go ahead and prep the vehicle and let it sit on there and do its thing for a little bit and then hit it.
A good question from Eddie. I don't know if y'all have talked. What does everyone think we bring owner pride to the house? House of Rags.
Eddie and I have been talking about that a little bit, and you know what? I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to working with Eddie and making things happen. And there's no like I said, working with Eddie is a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to working with him.
I would love that for you guys. More collaboration. I love it in this industry. So D&B Mobile Detailing says OPX is amazing. What is OPX?
OPX is our self-healing coating that we have for our installers,
Okay, that's the
and
pro level one.
that's the pro level. You're looking at again up to 4 years.
What is a self healing? Does a self healing coating actually self heal? Like, does this actually? I mean, is it legit?
Yeah, it's legit. I know there's a lot of guys when you look in the forums and everything else. Oh, self-healing or all coatings are self-healing to an extent, but you can tell the self-healing
What?
coating definitely kind of does its thing because it's going to be more viscous. It's going to be thicker. It has to be
Yep.
in order to have that technology. And the way we've always described it to our customers is and when you talk to your customers, I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that we make in the detailing industry. We typically talk at our customers and not to our customers. You need to make it relatable. So when we talk about self-healing coatings, one, we don't oversell it. We're talking about light wash scratches. We're talking about marring and these kind of things that incurs just from you washing your vehicle, you know, during your routines. So we don't try to oversell it. Second of all, we go ahead and we relate it to memory foam technology. You can take memory foam, you can bend it, shape it right, and it's going to go back. But if you slice through it, it can't meld itself back together again. So when you look at a self-healing coating, these are strikes on the surface that are taking place that it's self-healing from, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But if that strike goes through the coating, it's just not going to heal. And at the end of the day, we're not talking about mills with anybody's ceramic coating, not our coating, not anybody else's. We're not talking about mills. We're talking about microns. So as long as we're not overselling the product, as long as you're being very truthful and honest and give your customer an idea and set the expectations, self-healing coatings can really help you as far as another revenue stream when it comes to ceramic coatings, as a revenue stream into your business.
I mean, it sounds like something that a potential customer might enjoy hearing about, right? If they have their really
Mhm.
nice car and it's like self healing, that sounds nice. Um, what's the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, man, that is a good question. God, I forgot how good you were at this.
No, I'm just
Um,
curious. I mean, you're actually a winner, man. You're successful, so I want to learn some stuff from you. Like, come on now, you're out of the detail shop. Who actually does that? Like, I had Andy Be
yeah.
Cool on the podcast last week, and his big wisdom after decades in the game is like, I fired all my employees, and it's just me now. And I feel like Darren Priest said the same thing back in the day when I used to watch him. Like, I did the thing where I had the employees and had the shop, and that game ain't for everyone, Damon.
No, it's not. But I think that also brings up a good point too, right? When you look at the end game in this industry, right? If you're going into the detailing business, there's literally two two ways that you get to your end game. Either A, you're going to end up being a sole proprietor, which is great. I mean, when I was a sole proprietor doing paint touch-up, minor body work, dude, I had excellent golf game. and, and I had time to go golf. I was done
Yeah.
by 3:30, and then I'm out there. But the end game to that is, you got to make sure that you're investing your money.
Yep.
You're not going to be able to sell this. You can probably sell it, but basically you're selling a book of business.
Yep.
You're not really selling a brand and a business itself.
Maybe some
So,
equipment and a book of business for maybe what the equipment's worth. I mean, I'm being a cynic
right,
here, but
right. And so and I think this goes back to your point or your question, which one are you going to do? Because if you decide in the beginning which one you're going to do, then you're more focused. You're able to set your goals. You're able to go ahead and plan this out a lot better. For myself, knowing that I didn't and couldn't be working back there because physically I just wouldn't be able to do it, I had to do this. This was my end game. And that helped me set up the goals and the strategy to be able to say, I am working myself out of a position wherever I go,
so you
except
had
this
the
one.
long-term goal in mind the whole time?
Yeah, I did. I had to. I knew I wouldn't
Wow.
physically be able to do it.
Speaking of physically, did the detailing and the polishing contribute to your neck injury?
Not so much. But what's funny is I spend a lot of time and a lot of money uh, doing what I can to keep my back as healthy as possible, even with my disc generation. And it was funny because my chiropractor, and this was years ago, He goes to me, he goes, I want you to do something. He goes, I want you to go ahead and I want you to put your back up against the wall, heels up against the wall, back of your head touching the wall. He goes, now I want to take your back of your hands and place them to the back of the wall. So I went to go like this. And I mean, I'm a good like 6 to 12 inches away. And my back had rounded because I had spent so many years holding a polisher like this.
Really?
Right. And so I could physically see what it was doing to me. It wasn't just what I felt,
Mm.
but it's what I could actually see.
So
And
when
that's
so
why.
When Ivan harps on like make sure you're polishing with good posture, like that's no joke. That's from another guy who's had back surgery.
Right. Right. It's not because he has, the French Canadian back, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
has nothing to do with that. I Ivan's great. And I think that's the awesome thing about being in the position I'm in is being able to text Ivan, give Ivan a call, or he can
Yeah.
text me, or I can, you know what I mean? Or the same thing with you and myself. Um, but no, he brings up an excellent point, and I love the fact that Ivan preaches on efficiency. And that efficiency also means being efficient yourself and keeping yourself healthy.
It's not always the sexiest message, but it's the message that
No.
has stood the test of time for me because it's a very physical thing, but I love detailing. Shout out to golf. John Weber says, I'm so busy. I only play like 4 times a year, but I can chip around the backyard while the doggy goes poopy. Yeah, it's like your golfing has a lot to do with what's going on in your life, right? When you have kids, when you're doing a business, like I stopped golfing really, but I miss the game a lot. Chris M says book of business has less value than most think. Your competitors will just go to sell those customers when they find out you're looking to get out. Yeah, I mean,
It's tough because well, and I think this is another thing that we make a mistake of is we tie ourselves just. I mean, yeah, I get it. I'm the face of the brand, but I'm not just the brand. You know,
mm,
Dan Williams, Jimmy, these guys are also the brand. Davis is the brand. Bob, all those guys, they're part of the brand. So, like you were asking, when I left the shop, it's still doing good. It's still actually increasing in revenue compared to last year. Yeah, they are because I didn't always put myself in the front of the office. And the other thing I did is in that shop, my office was the furthest thing away. So when people came in, they didn't see me first, and I wasn't as accessible. They had to go through everybody else before they got to me. Now, everybody has those customers, right? Where they've been coming to you for years. They spend a lot of money with you. Yeah, you're going to well, at least you should get
yeah,
out of your chair,
yep,
go, 5,000 square feet and go talk to them,
yeah, yeah.
and make that appearance and make them feel special. Otherwise, let them handle it. You don't have to do everything. You've put your systems in place. They understand the culture of your shop. Let them do what you train them to do.
You've been married for 24 or 34 years.
34 years. My wife and I got married. I was 18 and she was 19, and no, she wasn't pregnant.
Interesting caveat or
I just
addendum
had,
there.
dude, again, I mean, small town Iowa, where I grew up from. My wife and we were high school sweethearts. I started dating her when I was 15. She was 16. I needed somebody to drive me around. I couldn't walk. I didn't want to ride my bike. And
Yeah.
it was just one of those things in small podunk Iowa. You get married, or it's just it wasn't a shocker to
So
anybody to
secrets
me.
on 34 years of marriage, because my marriage didn't last. My detailing, business,
Mhm.
and there was a lot more than detailing. Detailing wasn't to blame. Having a second business on the side, being gone a lot of the time, that
Yep.
didn't help anything.
No.
But I think it's probably a lot more common that it's straining a lot of marriages out there. What advice do you have? I mean, you're like I said, you're the guy who's actually lived it, and you're still married. So what can you
It's
teach
it.
the people out there who are still married, who are trying to hold on to something, or those who are thinking about going into a business and maybe they have a kid on the way? Like, it seems to be a business that people get into right around that time that like they're I don't know if that was just me,
Yeah.
but you have young kids maybe
No,
or
no.
a
Yeah,
kid on the way.
I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, we had our kids by 24.
Yeah.
Um, by the time I was 44, all three of our kids were gone. We were empty nesters. I mean, the battle cry, I had a battle cry. 44 and out the door, and they were. they were all, and again, I mean, I've got my youngest one does real estate and does commercial insurance. And I mean real estate, she has
So
a
so they
broker's
got out the door
license.
early. They grew up. You had them young, but like, what advice
Yeah,
do you have for folks out there? I know you're really proud of your kids. I just
right. Yeah,
I
well,
want
yeah, kind of.
I'm I'm interrupting because we have about 10 minutes left. But like, what
Okay.
advice? Like, what
Don't
advice do
take
you? Yeah.
don't take advantage of each other, right? Because there's an old saying that always rings true to me. Familiarity breeds contempt. You get so used to being around each other that you begin to think that this person should know what you want or what you should do. And
Mm.
you're not saying the words, but you're thinking it. They're starting to do the same thing. You're around each other all the time. And next thing you start taking advantage of one another. You just begin to assume, or because they didn't do something, now you're upset, even though you did not ask them to do it. But in your mind, because you're around each other so much, they should know this, right? They should be able to read your body language by now. And I do. I see a lot of couples that take advantage of each other. And I still say please. I still say thank you. I sit close to my wife while we're watching TV. We make a point of making those things happen. And so it's not just me, it's also her. She's that way too. And here we are, 34 years of marriage, and now we're both working from home together. Now
Mm.
that is a dynamic of itself that I could never have imagined. I really did. I'd never really imagined that happening. And if it wasn't for COVID, it probably wouldn't have happened, really.
Why is that?
Well, I think when you look at it prior to COVID, there was very few people work from home.
Yeah.
It just wasn't the
Isn't that
norm.
wild how the world changed? It's 5 years later, and like now working from home is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife is incredibly accomplished, and from very early on, I didn't even tell her I joined the Coast Guard. I didn't tell her I had signed up. I had signed up like in January of 90. I think I told her by March. That's how much of a chicken shit I was, right? And so she was still going to college, or she was in college. So I here I am. I'm telling her I'm getting on a plane, leaving, going to boot camp for 2 months, and then not knowing where I was going to get stationed. And she continued to go to college. And so we allowed ourselves that time to accomplish things by ourselves and then came back together.
There's a lot of wisdom there. I want to actually think about that for a while and let it kind of process in the system. John Weber says, Damon, we do regular date nights every other week and a small
Yeah.
weekend away from the kids, heathens, once per quarter. I think that's one thing I would tell my younger self is like, or if I ever do find someone again and get married, is like, you got to find time away from the kids. You got to make it happen. For a while, it was just like I couldn't even afford a babysitter. So I look back and I'm like, I know why I cheaped out and tried to be budget friendly, but honestly, I would have used a damn credit card to pay for, a night out. Like in hindsight, if I could have saved the marriage, just, I think things happen for a reason and I'm on the path I'm supposed to be on, but it is sad for the kids, to have
It,
a
it's
marriage
it's
end. And it's a tragedy. It's really, really hard.
it's not easy. And we were very fortunate. We raised our kids in a small town like we were raised in Iowa. And I remember my kids, they were 12, 10, and 9. And we were standing in the foyer and they were complaining about Kim and I going out or something, right? And I just looked at them. I said, let me tell you something. And this is exactly how I put it. I go, I love you little bastards. And I'd do anything for you guys.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm not going to give you is 2 Christmases. You're not going to get it. I go, look at your friends. I go, how many of your friends have divorced parents? I go, I have worked too damn hard and invested too much in this relationship that this person you call mom, that I call Kim, that I call my wife, that I'm not losing half my shit. I go, so we are going to have date nights. We're going to go out without you guys. Doesn't mean you guys aren't important. But I said, before there was you three, there was her and I. And one of these days, you three are going to be gone and it's going to be back to her and I. And I go, I am not going to relearn who that person is.
Well, congratulations on a long marriage, man. That's so amazing. I'm sure it's been all kinds of challenges along the way as there
She's
are.
put up with me.
Yeah, I believe it. She's probably
She's the
the
same.
saint. The saint.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
she
said that
is.
right. There was a question about cigars that we didn't get to. I want to ask you about that. But what's your number one piece of advice for people who are detailing? Like, you talk to installers all the time. You have your finger on the pulse. Like, you're talking to guys who are on the front lines.
Hmm.
Anything you just want to scream from the rooftops that maybe you feel like people aren't hearing that they really need to hear?
Step away from the paint. I get it. It's easy to get, and I use this term, getting lost in the paint. You'll only be 2 feet away from that vehicle, and that's all you see for
Yeah.
hours is just being 2 feet away. You need to step away and look around. So you can look around, and you, instead of looking, at what you're doing and working on the business, or working in the business, working on it, and give yourself an opportunity to have that 30,000 foot view.
What if you
You
just want
know,
to work on paint? Should you just go
you
work
know
for
what?
somebody else? Or should you
I
just
don't.
start your own thing and do your own, like, and just keep it small?
You just keep it small because honestly, if you bring other people on, you're going to become incredibly frustrated with them, and they're going to become incredibly frustrated with you. And if you're
Yeah,
just
that,
doing it
yeah.
yourself, you're not gonna. Yeah, you're gonna save yourself a lot of brain damage.
Back to the important stuff. Damon, do you prefer darker Maduro wrap on the cigar or a lighter Claro Connecticut wrap with or without bourbon? I have no idea what any of this stuff means.
More so in Maduro. I will say, yeah, Connecticut wrapper, especially in the beginning. If I'm looking at something where I'm limited on time, then yeah, I'll probably go with something lighter because I'll smoke it faster. And I do like a good bourbon. My favorite brand is Rocky Patel. Rocky has spent quite a bit of time in Omaha, Nebraska, believe it or not,
Hmm.
at a bar named Copa, which I frequently visited a lot. Which you can, it was one places where I could actually work. You wouldn't believe how many guys were in a cigar bar with their laptops open.
Really?
Yeah, amazing place. And the bartender Jeff there is amazing.
Omaha's a pretty sweet place. Just wrapping up. I mean, for the folks
Hmm.
who've never been to Omaha, I know you left, and I know
Yep,
you probably have a long story of why you left, but that was probably closer to
it's
home for you than it is for me because I just visit, right? And when Ivan and I
yep.
go, but what do people not know about Omaha? I've never been there.
Most millionaires per capita.
Most
The
what?
millionaires per capita. It has got that much money in it. Uh,
Really?
yeah, it's what would be called a conservative millionaire. And now Warren Buffett skews those numbers some, but
Yeah.
when they have the Berkshire Hathaway weekends, I mean, we're talking 30, 40,000 people come into Omaha for that weekend alone. And then we also have the CWS there, which everybody knows.
College
But
World
they have
Series.
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yep, they also have the world's, or not the world's, I'm sorry, the nation's number one zoo is there.
Yep.
It's pretty incredible.
I also saw someone
It's,
posting on like an Omaha page that this was the busiest year at Eppley Airfield in history in terms of traffic. So
yep, and
I'm
they're
not
expanding.
surprised. I'm not surprised. Bill Dalton says 40 years married. So congrats, Bill. All right, David,
Nice.
we're wrapping up on an hour. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to share with detailers out there? Like I can tell you have a heart where you just want to like give back to the industry. It's been good to you.
Mhm.
Any other advice for folks out there who just love cleaning cars? They want to make money doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is sometimes you just got to realize you got to separate the passion from the business. Because at the end of the day, you can be, if you're an artist, you're not necessarily a business. And you got to figure out a way to pay for all your materials and everything else. There has to be the balance. You need to find the balance of being passionate about what you do, but still being able know your books, know your cost per ounce, and make sure that you know why you're doing it. If you're doing it for your family, then spend time with your family. Don't spend it all in the shop.
You never get that time back. Chris M asked a question I kind of asked earlier, but to cap it up, if I'm gonna try a product from Owner's Pride, is it Eco Wash? Like, what should we try from OP? You've got the platform here.
You know what? If you're a coding person, I'd say get OPX Lite. If you're looking for the chemical line, then I would also say Eco Wash is a great one. Then another great one is our Detail Spray Slick. You're not going to be disappointed with that one either.
Oh, really? More.
Yeah.
You'd recommend that one first over Ceramic Detailer?
Because of the price point, yeah.
Yep.
'Cause
Okay.
I just, yeah, it's like
Entry
ceramic
level.
detail is little brother is what it's like. It's the same thing. It's just it doesn't have as much rosin in it.
Hippopotamus Stew says, "Man, Damon is cool. Glad we got to hear from him."
I just appreciate being on here and having a chance to talk with you again and yeah, catch up.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's super refreshing to just have a great conversation live, involve everybody else. Also
Yep,
going to be doing a recorded podcast in the future, but like to have a live every once in a while. It feels very vibrant. So, Damon
100%.
Gray, where do they find you online? How can they learn more?
You go to ownerspride.com. You can also check me out on Facebook too. I mean, seriously, what you see is what you get. But no, ownerspride.com.
And are you
And
going to Mobile
check
Tech
it.
Expo?
Yeah, I'm going to Mobile
MTE?
Tech Expo. Yeah, we're going to be at MTE. I'm also buying the rounds, the first round of drinks there on Wednesday night. So we are paying for your drink tickets at the Wednesday night opener party. And I'm not going to be stuck behind a booth. I'm going to be there. And if you wanted to, you can Facebook message me if you're there. You want to meet up? Hey, let's go have a drink. Let's grab something to eat. Whatever. Let's just have a chance to chat. I'm more than happy to talk with anybody while I'm there.
Well, as someone who's very successful in the industry and someone who I can tell really loves the industry, I'm grateful to have you on the podcast, Damon. So I appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate the invite. It's been a lot of fun.
Hi, brother. Talk to you soon.
You bet.